This morning, we are going to talk about our predictions for 2023. And I am joined by a great panel. So we have from the Converse Now team, we have our Director of Customer Engagement, Jason Shepard. For those of you working with Converse Now, I am sure that you know him very well, as is the case with Spencer Goodman, who's our dedicated Domino's account executive. And then we have two very special guests with us today. We have Garett Rhodes with GBR Pizza, and we have Greg Lightner. And Greg, apologies for botching the title, noting that you are in an operations role with Greg and company. But with that, I think I'm going to hand it off to our panelists to introduce themselves and add a bit more color about what they do for their respective organizations. So, Greg, given the title change, I'm going to start with you.
Okay. Hi. So I've been with Domino's for 20 years. Operate 5 locations, and we started with Converse Now back in May. And one of the big things that I find that Converse Now helps with us is really with the operations, not having the phones ringing all the time, especially over dinner. It allows our team members to focus on other areas with the operations. And another big thing that really helps us is being short-staffed, which I think everybody could attest was, especially those last 2 years, and it's continuing with the labor shortages that everyone is experiencing. Call-offs aren't as big of a deal as they used to be. And if you lose an employee, it's not as big as a deal as it used to be, because you're not needing to fill that position as quickly, and you can actually be okay. And it allows you to do more with less. And that's really one of the biggest keys the success that we've had this year. And you're saving a ton with and payroll taxes and everything with that, and you're able to raise your employees' wages. For us, that was a really big thing.
Great. Greg, thank you so much for sharing that, and of course for plugging us. We very much appreciate the kind words there. And just in a few seconds, what got you into the pizza business? What got you into Domino's? Describe a bit about your journey with Domino's.
Well, I started out driving by a Domino's, and I saw a sign that they were hiring for delivery drivers when I was 18, and I stopped there, and I got a job, and I started delivering. And about a month into it, they asked me if I wanted to learn how to run shift. And once I started running shift, I never wanted to drive again, because I enjoyed running shifts and I loved the operations part of it. I loved the idea of making having a really busy dinner and making it go flawlessly, timed orders, making all that. So that's how I got into it. And then I moved up to a general manager and did that for 7 years. And then I moved into a supervisor role. And in 2012 is whenever I took over my current position, and have been doing it ever since. I love it.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Greg. And to remind us, your current title is?
Director of Operations, and I am a minority. I own 49% of the company that I work for.
All right. Excellent. Thank you so much, Greg. And Garett, let's hand it over to you. Tell us about your Domino's journey and about what brings you here today.
No problem. Yeah, I'm with GBR Pizza. I'm the Director of Operations here. I started when I was a kid. I think I was younger than 16 when I started. Moved my way up shift runner wise. but I was still just a kid, making all the kid mistakes. But then I joined the military. After 5 years of that, 5, 6 years of that, I came back, started working here again, and moved my way up. Quickly became a GM. Did well. Quick, became a DM. Did that for several years, and then I just got this position earlier this year. So pretty much just the standard Domino story. Started from the bottom and you work your way up.
And that is what we absolutely love about the Domino's community, is that so many people in your position started out just like you and Greg and so many other people attending from across the country right now. And of course, as a veteran, thank you for your service. And for the veterans tuning in today, thank you for your service to our country. All right, let's turn this over to a couple people from the Converse Now team who you may or may not already be familiar with. Spencer, let's start with you.
Yep. Thanks, Ben. Executive really working with all of our new restaurant partners from a sales perspective, and just being here to answer any questions that you may or may not have about Converse Now and how voice AI could help, and learning more about. I would say my favorite part is just learning about you guys and learning about your operation and how we could help support it. So happy to be here again with you, Ben, and looking forward to the conversation.
All right, and Jason.
Jason, I'm the director of customer engagement. So I'm the guy that, as you get on board with Converse Now and actually start ramping up, I'm your voice of the customer, so to speak, when you guys have issues or questions or concerns, or you want to know what your data is, stuff like that. I'm the guy that goes over that with you. Also 20 plus years in the Domino's community. I started as an insider back in the late 90s and moved up, became a GM, became supervisor, marketing director, trainer, threw many hats, learned basically every aspect of the business in 20 plus years. And then I came to Converse Now to help them kind of develop and get AI going for Domino's.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Jason. So with that, let's dive into our agenda, knowing this all-star team that we've got up here. Just making sure, panelists, we're all looking at a slide that says today's agenda, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. Just making sure that our community is looking at the same thing. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is a news story that's popped up over the last couple of weeks. And I think that everyone is talking about electric cars, whether it's with Domino's, with anyone wanting a Tesla, or with the owner of Tesla doing whatever he has been doing with Twitter. Everyone has an opinion about electric cars or a tertiary subject thereof. So we'll start out with a timely, fun news piece, and then we're going to go into some more heavy-hitting topics, just the outlook on profitability, pricing, what we're going to do with couponing, where the labor shortage is going to be next year, how we're going to reach customers next year. Where do they live? Are we going to be investing more in TikTok? Are we going to be doing something different to reach them? What is video going to look like? What is imagery going to look like? We're not sure. And then, of course, creating community within Domino's and how you can better reach your teams as a franchise owner and or operator. And then, of course, we'll leave time for Q&A for our those attending today. So with that, I'm going to go back to, our panel screen so you can keep track of who we are. You'll note that, Greg, we fixed you up here. So apologies for the confusion earlier. All right, so let's talk a bit about Domino's purchasing 800 Chevy Bolts to deliver to various franchises and corporate-owned stores across the country. Garett, you said that you had some insider information on this. If this is news to anyone attending, yes, in the past couple of weeks, Domino's announced that it is purchasing 800 electric cars to deliver to various stores. It ties to the company's goals across several areas. One is the goal of reaching net zero emissions by 2050. There's been a number of climate discussions that say 2050 is that no turning back point where we need to be at net zero before some serious damage is inflicted on the planet. We will not have a debate about climate change on this call. It is simply, I'm simply stating this because of that is one of the goals that Domino's has noted. And then, of course, it opens up the door to hiring drivers who don't have cars. So there's many other things to unpack here. But Garett, let's hand this off to you to open things up. Tell us what you know about this purchase and about how it's affecting franchises nationwide.
Yes. So I do know the number is it's over 800 now. But I don't know that Big Domino's is actually buying it for this franchisee level. But we purchased 12 of them. We got 12 of them, and then we're also expanding our fleet to gas ones too, because trying to put electrical outlets everywhere is more difficult than it seems. But yeah, so we have 12 of them, and we're starting a fleet. And there's if you're looking at going to a fleet, I can talk days on how the potential for profit is higher doing that, but it also, there's still a lot of negatives with it. And right now we're just in the process of, since we're our own organization, you got to cover yourself legally and create your own training programs. So it is a process. So we kind of jumped on buying them. We're one of the first people to start ordering them when it became a big kick earlier this year, and they're coming to us, and we don't even have our training program ready. But it's pretty cool. There's a lot of feedback from our employees about whether they would like it or not like it. But once we get it up and running, I feel like it's going to be a huge positive for our company.
Which I think we can all agree that getting electric cars can be a positive for a number of reasons. What are some of the specific selling points that employees seem to be latching onto, or that you at the operational level seem to enjoy?
So I'll say that obviously electricity, we're all experiencing franchise-wide the stress of paying mileage. And that's a very touchy subject with people. That just keeps going up and up, and hopefully you're high enough to not run in trouble or anything. And these things you're paying for the gas. And if you crunch the numbers, Enterprise went through and said, hey, you can own your own car and pay for everything for a fraction of the price. So profitability wise, it should be good for us.
Excellent, very good. And Greg, not sure if your group has direct involvement with this electric vehicle program, but if not, just thoughts on it, thoughts about how this could pan out next year.
Oh, we currently do not have any ordered. I think it's a great program. We looked into it. We just felt at the time right now, we're in a very rural area. So we're kind of waiting to see, what's coming next, and before we splash into that. But I think electric cars are the future. Gas is on its way out. So I feel like there's a lot, I think that's definitely where it's heading. So, I'm for it. I think, I see us buying them within, jumping on board within the next 2 or 3 years.
Excellent. So you're seeing this as a program that will continue to scale up, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah,
right.
I definitely did.
Jason, I'd like to get your thoughts on this as a Domino's vet, right? Talk about the logistics around okay, you now, will own a fleet of vehicles within your franchise, and you must take responsibility for those vehicles. You, of course, have to find ways to actually keep them charged. I don't think that most Domino stores have dedicated garages, right? Walk me through how you foresee the logistics of this program going, and what changes franchisees might want to make next year in order to adopt. And then Garrett and Greg, you're welcome to chime in to follow up on any of those questions too.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, like from an operator standpoint, there was always those drivers that came in that we hired that after, a week or two, they're like, oh, I don't want to put this much mileage on my car. I'm not going to be here. So having that extra benefit of, hey, we're going to provide a car for you. And then we're just not going to pay you out the mileage, right? So most stores pay out a mileage, and every time gas prices go up, it's adjusted. Oh, well, we got to pay a little bit more mileage because now the price of gas has gone up. So that's an ever fluctuating price. And then when you bring it back down, of course, employees are going to get mad. Oh, I'm making less now. What's going on? So having that element out of it and being able to provide them with a car, is definitely great. I think Garrett said he even has some gas models that they're going to be using just for that implementation of this electric charging. I think that's going to be the struggle right now is you have 9 cars, how are we going to charge 9 cars overnight to be ready for the next day and to make sure they last all day? Most Domino's stores are not built with 9 plugs to go out to different cars. So we're definitely they're gonna have to put that into store builds and remodels as to how are we going to use that resource to be able to charge these vehicles. I think before the webinar, we were talking about it, and it was like, hey, you could always put car chargers up in the curbside and then, have a little side business of charging people for electricity. You'll see that, I think, coming forward. You go to Whole Foods, there's chargers in the parking lot for people to come in to the store and shop while they're charging. That's becoming more all over the place. There's chargers everywhere now. So I think you'll start seeing that as well. You'll start seeing chargers in the parking lots.
Excellent. Thank you, Jason. And as an owner of a new plug-in hybrid vehicle, I can vouch that I'm always looking for chargers. I forgot how to load gas into my car a couple weeks ago, to be honest, and that was a cool feeling. All right, so let's dive into a much more macro issue, and that is profitability. So profitability, of course, a huge item, not just for Domino's, but for any sustainable business out there. We have a lot of things that have, gone a bit out of whack over the past couple of years. We've had food shortages, we have supply chain issues, we have ongoing inflation, rising labor costs. There is a whole mess to discuss and pontificate on, and how it will shake out in 2023. So Greg, let's start with you. I just want to know what keeps you up at night with regards to the biggest factors for profitability and how they might change in 2023.
Well, the biggest thing I think this year was definitely food cost. That was one of the trying to balance labor and food costs were our 2 biggest challenges this year. Fortunately, with the changes that Domino's just made a couple months ago with the changing of the carryout special was a huge relief, and adjusting the mix and match deal going to $6.99 across the board, because they did that with the delivery, but even carryout, the coupon difference was the food cost difference between the two was just huge. So they made some good changes, and along with some price changes, and we're definitely in a lot better position now. And it looks like, we're going to see that next year continue to rise, at least for the first part of the year. So, really keeping track of the pricing and the cost of food is really what's
Yeah.
the biggest challenge right now.
Yeah, talking about raising prices, right? It's a necessary
Yeah.
evil that every group is undertaking. And I've read into a nice spread from QSR Mag that's talking about the potential to raise that price to $7.99. Is that something that has reached discussion, Greg and Garrett, in your stores?
Well, I know for us, no, not, for us, not at the moment. But like I said, the labor part, the labor side of it is trying to stay competitive is really where, for us, it's you got to keep raising your wages to be competitive with other companies. So that could be down the line.
Yeah. Garrett, I'd like you to chime in on this. Just talk about the balance between, having to raise prices versus what are your loyal customers saying? How are you maintaining that balance and that communication for keeping up with costs, but at the same time, keeping your loyal customers happy?
So that definitely is the big debate with it. In our company, we didn't raise prices, our menu prices, for well over 10 years. And, every month, every quarter, we're seeing the prices that we're paying just keep going up. And, and our food percentage just snuck up there. And, we were looking at like 34, 35%. And, it became undoable. So we did raise prices, and that definitely will keep you up at night, hoping that our order count don't drop. Because that is definitely the thing that I focus on the most when looking at things is our order count. Because if we can just keep order count going up and just make small changes, I feel like everything will be great. With the the whole COVID thing the last several years, not having staff, and our stores might open today, might not the last couple of years. We've definitely corrected all that, and with the changes and prices that we've made, small changes over time that we've made, I really see 2023 being really, really positive for us, especially with corporate making their changes on our national offers. That was a huge help. I mean, as a company, at least 12 to 15% ordering the mix and match. And I mean, that did ease off once they made the changes. We don't have as many people ordering that, but we noticed that more people are ordering our local coupons, which are, equally as profitable, or if not more profitable for us.
So let's dive into that further. You're talking about local coupons. Where do you see couponing going in 2023? What are some of the coupon strategies? You don't have to reveal, your secret recipes here, but just in general, right? What are some of the strategies that franchisees and operations directors, managers should be looking out for to help, achieve that balance?
Yeah. So I always look at, I do a lot of reading, research with other companies, other franchises on how they're doing it. I know California, there's a couple of guys out there that are just blown it away with their local coupons. So I do copy and try out a lot of stuff that they do. And, some stuff works, some don't. We're, completely different area, completely different demographic. So a lot of the stuff is really using common sense and just trial and error. I never, we have 21 stores, so I never make a huge change to all stores at once. That just, because if it goes bad for everybody. So we, what I do is the A/B testing if I make some changes, like I think this coupon will do well here and all this stuff, and then if it does well, then I push it out to all the stores. It really is just patience and finding out what your customers like and don't like. And
Absolutely.
obviously keeping your food costs in mind with these coupons.
Oh yeah, of course. We're talking about monitoring the results of coupons. Greg, we're going to get to you in a moment, but I'm going to turn this over to Jason to talk a little bit about how we're monitoring coupon progress. We have an in-house analytics platform called Looker that allows franchisees and operators to assess coupon performance. Jason, if you want to share a little bit more information about that, that'd be great.
Yeah, so on AI, you get access to Looker, which is your data platform for all your AI orders. And one of the biggest metrics that we look at is coupon performance. So what is your menu mix? What's your national versus local mix? What are your top 5 coupons that are being used through AI? And one of the things that I do with franchisees when we're going through is, we're looking at average ticket, we're looking at how AI is performing, but also looking at our coupons and saying, are we offering the ones that people are using? How often are they using them? Are we seeing way too high of a menu mix or way too low of a menu mix? And I know to some people, gasping, how could menu mix and menu price orders be too high? But on AI, for us, the biggest thing, like Garett said, is order count and making sure that we're seeing a consistent progress with order counts. And if we're pricing people out by having too high of a menu mix, we might not be getting that retention side as well. So, you might start seeing order counts drop. So really, when I'm focused on numbers, the biggest thing I'm focused on is not only like what is the menu mix and is it in a good area, but what are the coupons that we're offering and are they strong to keep them away from those nationals and using the locals more.
Excellent. And then Spencer, anything to add to just the significance of monitoring this data?
Definitely. It's more of a question I typically receive during the onboarding, like, hey, do you guys have requirements with our AI, what we have to communicate? And the answer is no. It's really completely up to the franchisee operating partner, which coupons you want our AI to verbalize. And so part of our onboarding processes, we'll take 3 coupons for takeout, we'll take 3 for delivery, and we work with you. And so we set them, and then that's part of the steady state, the customer engagement that Jason does. We'll monitor them, right? So we start with some assumptions, the same way Garett was saying, hey, we're going to try some out, and if we need to adjust, we can adjust those on the fly with you. And so it's part of working with every group and finding that right mix and right balance to get the optimal result.
Excellent. Thanks, Spencer. And then Greg, we'll close this topic out with you. Just the future of couponing for 2023, just in general, balancing your costs with your loyalists and your order counts. Where do you see it going next year?
Well, yeah, I mean, trying to raise prices, that's the we've always tried to avoid raising prices the best we can, but this year, I think probably like a lot of other people, we raised prices more this year than ever, especially in the last few years because of the rising cost. And next year, I'm hoping, my viewpoint looking forward is I'm hoping that we're going to see a leveling off to where we can maintain our prices and our coupons to continue to be profitable. So I am looking at a positive outlook. So I hope it comes true.
Excellent. Well, don't we all, as both operators and consumers? I think that everyone's ready for prices to stop going up, and there's some economic factors that may or may not be in our control to manage that, but it sounds like Greg, Garett, and their respective teams are managing it to the best of their abilities. And just as they each know, that to keep monitoring your data, whether you're using Looker with Converse Now, whether you're using Wizardline, or any other, your own spreadsheets, just making sure that what you're doing is working. And if it's not, to pivot. And I think that's one of the most important things going into 2023 is, holding that data close. So there's another, aspect around profitability. Of course, those are labor costs, and where labor is going to be heading in 2023. I think that all of us are pretty sick and tired of hearing the word labor shortage. There's only so long where you can call it a shortage before you just realize that the entire system is different. So we want to go around the horn and just talk about what is the labor situation going to be like in 2023? And I'm actually going to start this back up with Greg, because Greg, last week we had a conversation about, what your team has been going through, right? And how, you had a sufficient staff, and then at a certain point you had a lot of churn, and now you're in a position where you don't really need to backfill those positions. But it will sound, coming from the source, we want to hear from you. Where's labor going? How have you guys been dealing with it?
So, back when we signed up with Converse now back in May, along with the other, cutting edge, having the GPS cutting edge, and then, now load and go that we're doing, all of that together has really, in the addition of Converse now, has really allowed us to streamline things to a point where, as I said earlier, call offs aren't as big of a deal now. I mean, they still affect you, obviously, but back when you were getting, 400 to 700 phone calls per week, in your stores, and it drops down below 100. I mean, that's a huge help. And there's savings there. And with that, we were able to not fill those positions, all those positions that we lost, with just natural turnover. And we were able to raise wages for our employees to stay more competitive with other businesses in town and factories. So, we've been very fortunate in the last 9 months, or I'm sorry, last 6 months to be where we're at. And, we still have some, struggles here and there, but it's not nearly as bad what it was before, May and definitely the last 2 years. And I'm starting to see people are, the amount of applications that we're getting is definitely a lot better than what it has been in the last 2 years.
That's great. That is very good to hear. And you were noting that just looking at labor costs, right? That you've seen even with paying your employees more, you're seeing a drop in labor.
Yes, so we've actually dropped in labor. And we're paying $2 to $3 more per hour for inside staff. So it's been really good the last couple months. So I'm hoping that it continues.
Well, that's pretty excellent. It's in times of rising costs, it's really nice to be able to pay your staff more, but at the same time see your staff costs or your labor costs drop overall. And it's just about making, it's just about efficiency and about maximizing your labor output. Garett, let's hand it off to you. Just, where is labor going next year, and what can franchise owners and operators do to help, one, keep up with rising labor costs, and two, just be more efficient with fewer people in the stores?
Yeah, we started raising our minimum that we pay our starting people last year, beginning of last year. So it's been like 2 years of us just constantly going up with paying people. I mean, I'll even say some actual numbers where our drivers, we start them off $10 on and off the road. And our minimum wage here in North Carolina is $7.25. And in some areas where we are a little spread out, not too much, but up towards Raleigh, we're still having difficulty getting people. So we're looking at raising it again. But I'll be honest, since raising it, I think with the significant raises in both inside and driver wages, we definitely gained some people. Retention is, it's still store dependent. But that's I think maybe 1% rise in our actual labor. We're still surprisingly doing very well in a lot of the stores labor wise. I thought it would impact a lot more, but ultimately, you just keep looking back at order count. Like, as long as the order count's going up, these numbers, labor should be dropping theoretically. If you're keeping the same amount of staff and you're getting more orders and you're handling it, labor should go down. So it really is it's the same game we've always played. It's just making our people more happy.
Excellent. I'm hearing the consistent theme here around order counts, and just order count as being a really strong metric to keep monitoring going into 2023. So thanks to y'all for sharing your insight there. And Spencer, let's bring it to you to talk a bit about labor costs and about maximizing efficiency with the resources that you have. What are some of the biggest talking points that other franchisees and operators have come to you with that you've been able to help answer?
Well, definitely on making sure that we are capturing all those orders, right? And then the biggest thing, and I hate to answer your question with a question, but I might have to send it back to Greg and Garett. But we track every call that is coming in, right? And if it's order call or non-order call, right? And those I always, in our conversations, those non-order calls are almost, they hurt more to the operators, right? Because those are not revenue calls. And with Converse now, we do have the ability to at least attempt to answer most of those non-order calls, and on average that could be anywhere from like 250 to 400 non-order calls per month per franchisee per location, right? And so the question always comes, well, what do you do? Like, how do you, okay, we're going to take those off your plate, how do you maximize that labor? And if we're saving 2 to 3 minutes of non-order call, per non-order call, right? From phone rings, answer, got to get off the line, wash your hands, answer the call, go back, wash your hands again, in theory, with a lot of people. Sometimes I get argued on that point, but they should be washing their hands, right? And then find the production. Like, how do you maximize that time, and how do you maximize the efficiency? And those are a lot of the conversations I have with people. And it's not, I'm always very cognizant of it's not a one size fits all answer. And I try to work, understand what each, configuration is within, each site, and work with the team. But, I don't know, maybe Garett or Greg, if you are willing to share some of the, how have you been able to kind of reallocate some of the labor that we might have helped you save? And maybe that might help answer your question, Ben.
All right. Well, yeah, let's turn it over. Garett, any words of wisdom around that?
Yeah, so I didn't mention how using like Converse is actually, that does. I think the biggest benefit that we've seen from using a phone system and the AI system is honestly the stress and environment of the store. I think the most positive thing for us wasn't profitability or anything like that. It was honestly the retention aspect, because I'll even admit it, when I'm in the store answering the phones and that's just what I'm doing for 3 to 4 hours, it's not fun. I don't like it. And I was gonna say, I knew a lot of my people, every time that phone rang, they were just huffing and puffing. So that is the biggest plus side to it. And with the AI system, I don't have negative feedback from my customers, really. it's like I'm not gonna throw anybody on the bus or anything, but some companies use like when you call a different company and you're speaking to somebody from India or something like that, you get negative feedback. You don't like it sometimes, and the AI is really, I really like it.
Cool. Well,
You bring up a good point. Just to add on that, I think we might have told the story here, so I'll make it quick. But we have multiple stories of employees traveling further to stores that have Converse now versus working at a site that might be a little closer to their residence, because they know they could just focus on the productivity, and it's one less thing that they have to deal with. So that's always, to your point, Garrett, about retention and just improving morale. While that's a really hard score to kind of like measure, it's something that we definitely are focused and love hearing that it helps about. So cool, thank you.
excellent. Just trying to keep moving along because we are starting to run out of time, gentlemen. Let's move a bit into just the marketing side of things. And with the ever evolving digital landscape, how are Domino's operators and owners reaching their customers, whether it's new customers, their loyalists? What are the channels that you might be investing in when it comes to, getting the word out about your specials, about your regional coupons, about, new menu items, whatever it might be? Garrett, let's start with you in this one. You're all across North Carolina. How do you see yourself best finding your customers next year?
I'll admit this year we've spent very little marketing on getting people to order. A lot of our marketing was spent on hiring. But here recently we've done a lot with Facebook, just the social, the social media marketing. And I'll give you an example of how last week it made a huge plus for us. I don't know if anybody heard about the Moore County. Whole county was out of electricity. Somebody shot up all the grids. So we had 4 stores that were affected by that. 3 of our stores were shut down within 5 days because of this. And we had 1 store open back up really quick. So obviously, we jump on it and we went on Facebook. We told all of Moore County, hey, we're open. And we got a record week. That store was up 200 to 300% every single day. Yeah, it was exactly instantly. Like the first day we didn't do it, the next day we was like, hey, do some money on Facebook. And literally it was like almost instantly, as soon as the ad went live, like people were driving out to this location to get some food. And it was with social media marketing, you can really reach out to your customers in a specific area. So it's pretty cool. I'm not too familiar with it. I definitely outsource that. We use MGFE marketing for that. But they, I just shoot a text saying what I want and they get it done. And, we see some feedback from them. We see some positive stuff, but even we use it for hiring as well. So
that's great. Let's just to clarify as well. First, excellent job taking advantage of an otherwise perilous situation and really establishing your store as being, the place to get food in a time where the town really needs you more than ever. When you're using Facebook as an example many times, is that the primary platform you're using? Or, we're looking at, an ever younger consumer, right? Is TikTok, Instagram, are those platforms you're on? Are there any other sort of channels that you're reaching people through?
So the Instagram, yeah, not so much as Facebook. Facebook is our main one.
Okay.
Instagram a little. I haven't played in Snapchat. I hear that's going away. I don't know. I mean, I have a Snapchat. I don't get on it. But with TikTok, I'm hearing a lot of things with the political side of that nowadays. Not trying to get political or anything, but I hear Congress don't like them and trying to do something about it. So I don't know how well that's going to be in 2023, but I know everybody's on it, so it could be good.
Fair points. Fair points. Greg, would love you to weigh in here. And then, as Garett noted, not just in terms of marketing to customers, but marketing to potential staff members as well. What channels are you using to both get business and workers in through the doors?
Well, we do a lot of in-store, that a lot of in-store advertising is really where it's at. But our main source for hiring right now for prospective employees is Indeed. That's where Indeed and Facebook is where we're spending most of our resources to get new hires. And it's been working pretty well for us, and where we're at. So that's where we're primarily been focusing now.
Excellent. Thanks. And when you talk about in-store advertising, for those who are curious about the specific tactics that you might be using, paint a picture of what in-store advertising looks like and what you're promoting.
So we use Ross for marketing for a lot of our hiring materials. We'll do box tops. We have displays, one of those, I forget what they're called, banner displays. We'll use window clings. We'll hand out little cards with the QR scan for now hiring. That's a lot of what we do.
Excellent. Great. Thank you. And let's see. I just want to round this topic out with Jason before we open it up to Q&A. Jason, can you just talk about, how the marketing landscape may have changed since you were with the company, and just some of the best practices that you think might apply that stand the test of time?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is to your point, making sure that you're up to speed with the newest thing for the people in our market. So like TikTok, right now, TikTok's huge. I mean, for me, I would have a store account, and I would have, the Domino's dot doing dances on TikTok all day long and see how big you can make it. That's a huge market right now for marketing. Facebook, was really big, and it can still reach a good audience, and it gives you targeted marketing. So that's, always still something that everybody uses. But because technology is just evolving so fast, what used to work, last year and the year before is just there's a new platform for it this year. So keeping up with trends and knowing, I used to ask my CSRs, like, what's the newest social app? Because I wasn't always up to speed with Instagram and Snapchat and all that. But I would ask them, hey, what's the newest social media platform? And I would find out from them what they were using, and then I would see how can I do something with that and throw store specific stuff out there to where I could hit locally on those platforms. So it's definitely, as it changes, you see, we have AI answering the phone now. We're going to have a changing market year after year after year, and just staying up with those trends is where you're going to need to be.
Great. Thank you very much, Jason. And we are starting to run short on time. I have time for a few questions, and I'm going to put some contact info up here. For those looking to get in touch, you have Spencer's email and phone number to ask anything else about Converse Now. I do have a couple of questions around getting other people's contact info. I will be discussing that with them offline, and everyone in attendance will be getting a follow-up email. And if that information can be shared, then we will be sharing it over that email. So rest assured that you should be taken care of there. I did have a question about a topic we didn't really get to touch on just due to time, and that was about community. And I had someone ask, what can we do to just establish, a better sense of community in our stores next year? So Greg, I'll turn that to you to see if you have any best practices or predictions for how you can just make sure that communication is going great in your stores.
Well, we do a lot of work with our in towns, the downtown chambers commerce. We do a lot of work with them, and we do a lot of donations for blood drives in our store, that are in town, and the community days that we have there. We donate a lot of pizzas and work with them to promote small businesses and stuff in our communities. So that's a lot what we do.
Great, thank you. And then Garrett, just talking about community, maybe within the store. You have constant turnover. It's just how the industry is. Any practices that you would recommend for just generating a sense of community among your staff?
That trying to get the I call it the environment or the vibe of the store, and trying to teach that to some general managers and shift runners and stuff. It's almost impossible to teach, but our most successful stores, our employees love to show up to. I know when I was a general manager, I'm just a smiley person, a happy, jokeful person. And I noticed, all my people love coming to work. People show up to work in a bad mood, and then they quickly just start having fun. We're all making pizzas and having fun. And it's, trying to teach that. If somebody can answer that for me and give me a training guide on how to teach a good environment in a store, I would love it. But I do know that is definitely key to having a successful store. Making sure everybody is happy and communicating and smiling in the store. But we do good in some stores, and other stores we don't do so well in. So I would say that's definitely the key.
Great. Well, thanks for the tips there. Just smiling is contagious, and creating a good culture within your stores is imperative to helping keep up that staff retention. So in the last couple of minutes that we have, there's a couple more notes that I got. I have a few people who have said, like, hey, I want to be famous like Greg and Garrett. How do I get to be on one of these webinars? The answer is just contact us. You can reach out to Spencer, and then we'll share some additional information in a follow-up email going out tomorrow. But if you would like to be a panelist in one of these webinars, then look, we're all about supporting the Domino's community, and we are so thankful for people like Greg and Garrett, who not only do great things for the stores under their jurisdiction, but it's about taking advantage of time like this when the community can come together and we can share best practices and thoughts, and just it's a time for people to learn from one another. So Greg, Garrett, we appreciate your being on here to do that. And for those interested in being a Greg or Garrett in upcoming webinars, then by all means, we'd love to hear from you. So thanks for that note. And then the next item, I want to turn over to Spencer is a fun announcement with regards to a new referral program that we are rolling out. So if you would like to get paid and get your friends a discount for getting AI in their stores to reduce their labor costs and drive up productivity, then Spencer, let me turn it over to you.
Yeah, perfect. Speaking of sharing, I think you hit the nail on the head with regards to, it's a referral program. We're not reinventing the wheel here. We want to reward you guys for, if there's some other, operating partners within your Domino's community that you think we could support and help out. We'd love to get the opportunity to chat with them. And then if they go live, right, if they get a store that's activated, you guys both get the benefit of that. And so I think Gary is going to drop the link into a referral submission form. So essentially all we're looking for is just an introduction and pointing us in the right direction. And then if the conversations move forward, there's a good amount of credits available from both sides, for you and for the potential new partner that we are working with. So we're really excited about the program. There's more details on the forum, but if you have any specific questions or want to chat about how it works, by all means, my contact information is here. Happy to jump on a call at your earliest convenience to chat about it.
Great. Thanks, Spencer. And this information about this referral program will also be sent in this email tomorrow with a recording of today's webinar. In short, it's a way for you to get rewarded for each new franchisee or operator that you refer to us, and then each additional store that they sign up. And then the people that you refer will in turn get a discount to ConverseNow service. So with that, I think that closes out just about everything on our agenda. I apologize for the questions that we didn't get to answer due to the time. But if you do have a follow-up, please message Spencer, and we would love to address your notes as quickly as we can. So Greg and Garrett, thank you so much for joining us. You do great things for the Domino's community, and we're so glad to have you as part of the ConverseNow Domino's community. We wish you the best of luck in all of your endeavors with your respective stores. Jason, Spencer, thank you again as always.